What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another edition of the Nittany Pod. I am AP. They are Nick and TK. What's going on, boys?
Going great. Excited to talk about this game, man.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is. It is so exciting. Whiteout week is finally here. We've been talking about this game for months. Basically, pretty much since the Big Ten championship game ended, we've had this game circled on our calendar. And first of two, maybe three, four huge games this season for Penn State. And we could talk about it till we're blue in the face. We have talked about it until we're blue in the face. This game is must win for James Franklin and Penn State. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. I said it before the season. This team should go 12-0. You know, obviously you go on the road to Ohio State, but with this roster, the investment in this year, everything around it, this needs to be the year. You have to win this game.
This is a must-win. Yeah, sorry about that. There's no doubt about it. This is an absolute must-win game. I was thinking about, I was talking to AP about this. I was like, is this the biggest game of the James Franklin era? It was kind of something or like a regular season game, obviously.
For sure.
I was thinking about that last week. I still am kind of 50-50 on that. There were some other games that came to mind, but this is up there. You got the whiteout atmosphere. You have you're trying to get revenge on Oregon from last year. Oregon still has not lost a regular season game since they joined the Big Ten Conference. All right. They are 16-0 in the regular season. Yeah. Crazy. They played USC last year at USC, but this is the first time that you've had what I consider the two big squads from the West Coast come out to your place, right? I mean, you had Washington last year, and they were coming off a national title appearance, but that's a different program. They're on a different level, right? Facing Dante Moore, right? He's been lights out for them so far. How's he going to react to the whiteout experience? And then, for some of these guys that are, guys like Chaz Coleman, guys that haven't gotten a lot of playing time in the past, guys like, King Matt, this is their, first time that they're really going to be under the pressures of that type of atmosphere. This isn't Florida International, Little Sisters of the Poor. This is a real time game. So, and then obviously for James, are you going to push back against the narrative, right? That you've had one top 10 win your whole career. And it was against, it was kind of, it was a fluke win. They weren't a great they ended up being a great program that year, but at the time going into the season, there was zero expectations. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. That's for sure.
It's like, where do you start here? For this, lead up to this game, similar to what's been said. Obviously circled it from last year. What happened? I feel like all off season, this is what we've been talking about. We haven't really played anybody leading up to this point in any fashion. No. So I think there's a lot of question marks for us as fans. This game, obviously you touched on James, and that is a big piece of it, to be honest. But this game is big for the years to come for Penn State because there's not a whole lot of clarity as to what that's going to look like. So hopefully, with the recruiting weekend this usually is, that's a boost for us as well. So, I don't know. We're going to get into it. Obviously huge for James. Hopefully he figures it out. I don't know if he's going to. I hope he does with everything in my being, but he has a chance to flip the narrative, and that's all we can ask for.
Absolutely. You said earlier, where do we begin? Let's start with the obvious, the elephant in the room. It is Whiteout week. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane. This is the first real big whiteout since 2019, and we just lost TK. He was having some connection issues last time he was talking, so hopefully we'll get him back. But no, I was saying this is the first big whiteout since 2019. Auburn was obviously huge, and we've had some other solid ones in between, but this is the first big one since. The weather is supposed to be a little bit crappy. So we'll see we'll see how that goes. The weather is supposed to be a little bit shitty. They're talking about rain, and everybody knows about TK's ranting about the ponchos last year. Hopefully, we've got some white ponchos available throughout State College, not just 100,000, maybe 200,000 of them.
Yeah,
We
that
we
can't
need to
happen
make
again.
sure we're equipped.
That cannot happen again.
Yeah.
But I still unfathomable. I mean, family clothes on. I mean, fuck. I mean, they don't have to have the Nike. I mean, Jesus. If honestly, if Adidas wants a head start, not to cut it
I
on
was
you
gonna
here,
make that joke.
if Adidas wants a head start here, just ship 500,000 white ponchos to State College. What a start! It'd be a great start to Adidas for us.
I love it. I love that idea. How do you expect the atmosphere to be on Saturday? Obviously, we know it's going to be crazy, but do you anticipate Oregon to be intimidated by it at all? Obviously, you know this is Dante Moore's first big road game, and I'm not sure how many people saw the video circulating out there, but Big Ten social media put out a video a couple weeks ago. The coaches saying the loudest environment they've been to, and Dan Lanning said Wisconsin so far. So you know, hopefully he's in for a rude awakening this Saturday. How do you guys see it? I was just telling Nick this is the biggest one since 2019 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding of it, I haven't been to most of these big time places, but my understanding of it is this is the best environment in the country, right? That's what everyone says. Urban Meyer has played in pretty much every damn conference there is. He says this is the best environment in the country. All these coaches that have played in it say it's the best. I mean, for Dante Moore, I mean, he's going to get ratted. And that's kind of where Oregon has not allowed a sack yet this year. If you're the defensive line, if you're Jim Knowles, you should be attacking the quarterback, start the game. Start off strong on the quarterback, rattle him early, rattle him with the crowd, rattle him with some pressure. That's where this whole game is. You got to gain momentum in this game early and just take it throughout. Because if you get the early momentum, Oregon with a young freshman, not a freshman quarterback, but a young quarterback who's never really even played at UCLA, hasn't played in this type of game before, that's something where you could just kind of fall behind and not be able to come back, right? So I think that's where it all starts. Starts in the trenches, obviously. Rattle them early and keep the momentum rolling for the rest of the game. You know, don't put the game in Drew's hands.
Yeah, I think, as it pertains to the crowd. I mean, I feel like, we're in chats and stuff, and people are like, oh, like people only say the only reason they're going to win is because it's the whiteout. And that's not why I think Penn State's going to win. But I mean, it plays a role. Like, no matter, who you are,
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
even if you, aren't a Penn State fan, and maybe you don't think it's a big deal, that's fine. But like the proof's in the pudding from, other coaches out there, reputable coaches like an Urban Meyer said, I think it was worth 10 points is what he said. Um, it does matter. Everybody's gonna be like, well, it hasn't helped you in, XYZ game and this and that, and that's fine. But it does help Penn State gain an edge in the trenches in a way on the defensive side of the ball, which will be really important. And I think, based off what he said about the sacks, I think that is really important. I think the crowd can kind of help speed up his clock in his head as well. And it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be an unreal crowd. I think it's I'm comfortable saying it's probably the most hyped game in my lifetime leading up to a Penn State whiteout game. Obviously that sets you up for some real disappointment as well.
Some heartbreak, yeah, for sure.
But
We've been through it
look,
before. Fuck it.
it is what it is, man. And what's cool is, and this isn't about the Oregon game, this is just in general, like, Penn State's been through a lot of things. Obviously, the scandal is the scandal, and those dark years are what they are. But, the fans always show up, like they always show up. They're always loud. They're always there in the early mornings tailgating, ready for the game. And I think part of me, like, about this game is, like, I just think, and I think I said it last year on the podcast, and obviously we didn't get it, but I just think the fans deserve a win like this. Like, the fans deserve it. Like, yeah, the program deserves it. And honestly, all the great things that, as much as I shit on James, has done since he's been here, it like almost does like culminate to a game like this. Like, you worked so hard to get all these things in place at Penn State, which everybody's grateful for. The crowd always shows up. They always back you. Even in 2021, when the season collapsed, they backed you in the stadium. Like, the fans deserve it. The fans will show up. It'll be loud. It'll probably be an unbelievable scene in Beaver Stadium. I just think the fans deserve to be rewarded in a way, to not to sound entitled, but I think the people who show up every day, travel, come to State College, some people that stay in State College and pay fucking 5,000 a night at the 3 hotels in town, they deserve it. And I hope we get it. And if you're listening to this and for some reason you aren't a Penn State fan, or you are a Penn State fan and you haven't gone to a game, I mean, it really is like nothing you'll ever experience anywhere else. Like it's crazy. Me and AP went to Auburn for the Orange Out or Cream Out, whatever we belt to ass Auburn in, and it's just an unbelievable experience, man. Like it's like nothing else, and the crowd will show up, do their job, and make it as tough as possible on them to execute.
Yeah, everybody tries to do their own version of it, but nobody comes close to executing the way the whiteout is done. I mean, it's just absolute spectacle of the sport, and everybody that considers themselves a college football fan should get to one in their lifetime.
Yeah.
All
Also,
right,
real
so
quick, AP,
yeah.
I learned today that Mississippi State is doing a whiteout this weekend.
Oh,
Tennessee.
really? I did not know that.
A whiteout this weekend.
Wow. Hey,
So
I'll be interested to see the highlights of that. Obviously, I doubt it'll be anywhere near as good as executed as
no,
well
no,
as what Penn State does. But
yeah.
no,
I just
I mean
thought it was a
it's
little
always
embarrassing
cool.
because
Yeah, I always find it cool to see other schools at least try to do it as well, because I mean obviously we
yeah,
know where it stems from, so that's definitely awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get into the game here a little bit. Oregon coming into this matchup, they look absolutely incredible. They are ranked number 6 in the country, but I think a lot of us can agree here. We think they might even be number 2, even ahead of Penn State. The way that they've looked so far, they deserve, in my opinion, to be ahead of Penn State. They look awesome. They come in here boasting the number 12 total offense, number 5 in, or I'm sorry, number 7 in scoring, number 10 in rushing. They're just absolutely incredible on offense. The defense is playing out of their mind as well. Number 9 in scoring defense, 12 in total defense. I mean, when you look at the numbers when it comes to Oregon and all the stats and hell, all the matchups, even Dante Moore 5-star, DK Moore 5-star, there's 5 stars all over this roster. Dan Lanning has all the money in the world backing him. How in the hell is Penn State going to win this game? What are some keys to victory for them?
I think one of the biggest keys, this is something I noticed. They played a pretty good game last week against Oregon State. I was watching that game. One thing I did notice, the one flaw I will notice, they were 4 for 10 on third down against Oregon State last week. So that could be a huge key to this game, right? Holding them on third downs.
That's the worst they've ever been so far this year.
It is, yeah. And I get it. It's a rivalry game. It's a little bit different, but they're bringing that into this week, right? So, I mean, they're probably going to work on
Yeah.
that a little bit, but try to hold them on third downs. Obviously, the trenches is going to be a huge one. We talked about this earlier in the show. Oregon has not allowed a sack this year, or maybe they've allowed 1 sack. It's either 0 sacks or 1 sack this entire year. So again, pressuring the quarterback is going to be a huge key to this game. And then on the offensive side of the ball, just, opening up the run game, making the passes, all the stuff we've been talking about all this stuff for so many weeks now. It really is just about, I think the key to this game, especially if it's raining, is going to be to get that run game going, right? Get Singleton out and open, get Katron on the inside zone plays, just make it work. And then maybe, start the game off with just some dink and dunks for Drew Aller. And then later as the game goes on, open it up a little bit more. But get him confident, get him feeling good, have him at the end of the first quarter with an 80% completion percentage or something around there, and then start to open it up a little bit more. But get him some confidence early in this game. Again, with this crowd, this game is going to be all about momentum. And honestly, I hope Oregon gets the ball first because I want Dante Moore rattled. I want
Yeah.
the crowd going crazy. I want to completely just get this whole thing going.
Yeah, get
yeah,
that 2019 Mo Bamba moment one more time there.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of when I was saying that.
yeah. I mean, it's a challenge, right? I mean, when you start saying like,
Yeah.
how's Penn State gonna win the game? I mean, it like Nick said. I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about offensively, what needs to be better, as far as Drew, as far as being consistent for us, on third down. Because I know Oregon, obviously, you mentioned maybe didn't do the best last week, but we haven't done great on third down either.
No.
Penn State's gonna have to be hyper focused on staying ahead of the schedule on offense. Like 100. Like I don't want to see just me. I don't want to see you come out and pass on first down. Like I just don't want to see it. Like you're gonna need the first and 10, whatever, first down. You're gonna need 3 to 5 yards, 3 to 4 yards. You have to. They have to stay ahead of the six. They have to do it. I agree with Nick. You have to get Drew comfortable in the beginning of the game. Um, and then on the other side, you know, defensively, the defenses look good, right? We haven't played anybody. The defenses looked really good. Um, but it's going to be a challenge to cover and contain some of these guys. You know, Decorian Moore is disgusting, obviously. He's, I think, in my opinion, already a top receiver in college football. So I don't think anyone will have any questions there. But I think, a lot of attention is going to be on him. But I think Benson has been just as good for them, and he's been kind of like a possession receiver for them. So obviously, DK Moore, everybody's going to focus on, but I think Benson's been obviously phenomenal for them. Sadiq is obviously, Twitter famous. They all absolutely love him. He's a freak. He's a great blocker. He's a great, obviously, receiving tight end as well. He's very athletic. Um, and then obviously the quarterback, Dante Moore, has been phenomenal. So they're going to have to find ways to be disruptive, but I don't think it's going to be the same game that it was last year. I think, we ran a lot of man last year as well.
Yeah, last
I
year
don't
was
think you're
pretty
going to
high
get that
scoring.
this year. I don't think you're going to get that. I think they're going to play more zone. Obviously, they'll have a couple looks that we probably haven't seen before. I think you're going to see Dennis Sutton line up all over the place. I don't think he's just going to be an edge. I think he's going to be all over the place. I'd love for them to line him up on the right tackle at all times if possible. Um, it's going to be Penn State has to run the ball to stay in this game, in my opinion, because I think Oregon's going to score. I think you're going to have to limit Oregon's possessions. We have to run the football. If Penn State can, it's not just Oregon. If Penn State can't run the football, this offense will struggle from what we've seen so far.
Yeah,
So we have to be able to
yeah,
run the ball. We have to be able to get push. Um, and I think that's the keys to victory for Penn State is run the ball, stop the run, and they've had some. I mean, Penn State's been good on special teams, man. I mean, if it would a
yeah,
special
yeah. You're
teams, a
stealing
big
mine
play
there.
on
Yep.
special teams could be a huge momentum swing for us in this game. Mac's done some really good things. Honestly, it's nice seeing Ross as a punt returner run forward as opposed to what we've seen in the past. So yeah, I think you got to run the football, stop the run. Same Big Ten shit you see every week. Run the ball, stop the run, special teams. That's a Big Ten formula to win football games. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You actually stole the words right out of my mouth there with the special teams. I think that's really the biggest key to this game. In these big matchups, you really got to look for the small increments anywhere you can get them. And special teams being that third phase of the game, it's often overlooked. That obviously won us the 2016 whiteout the last time we beat Ohio State. So we know very well that special teams can in fact win you a game. Gabe Nwosu looks incredible right now. Ryan Barker is absolutely locked in. We've talked about that plenty. And yeah, you just mentioned it. Devontae Ross, it's nice to see him running forward on punt returns. Not that it's been bad in the past before, like it's never been detrimental for us, but it's always been fair catches. It's nice to see, him actually go out. He has, I think, 5, 6 punt returns of 10 plus yards this year. Penn State as a whole team had that last year. I don't even think they had that last year. So it's nice to see that little pop that we're getting from the special teams unit for sure. I think another key to the game is going to be the defensive front, especially the front four. Zane Durant, whoever is going to be playing next to him, whether that's Xavier Gilliam, Alonzo Ford, they're going to have to play absolute A game all 60 minutes. They haven't been incredible to start the season. We obviously know Zane Durant is really good, and they have had some highlight moments. But for the total picture, they've got to be better, especially in this matchup here. So those are really the things that I'm going to be looking at for this game here. Let's move
yeah, I
on
don't.
to yeah. Go ahead.
I'll be interested on that note with the interior defensive line. Because I think everybody keeps talking about that. I've seen some people talk about Penn State's back end as well. I think in the secondary, Penn State's strong enough to compete with anybody, really. Um, I'll just be interested on the defensive line what that looks like, because that's going to be a really important piece for us, because we have to. Obviously, you talk about all the weapons on the outside, receiver and tight end for Oregon, but we also have to stop the run, and they can run the ball. They can run
Mm-hmm.
the ball. I know they got their
They've
starting
got
running
3
back
guys
back.
almost 200 yards already.
Yeah, and he's going to come back this week. Obviously, at Penn State, said he could have played last week. Whittington, so he'll be back. That'll be a big thing to watch, because everybody talks about it with the interior defensive line, and then they also talk about Oregon's defensive line and their offensive line. But at the end of the day, nobody knows, because the teams you've played, even Oregon, even though it's not
Yep.
Villanova and it's not Nevada, nobody knows. Like, you don't know. Like, if I'm, Ford or Durant or whoever, I'm not, getting up and jacked to play Nevada. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm an Oregon guy, I'm not jacked to play, even though it is a power, like Oregon State. Like, that's not going to do it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, truth be told,
that's not a good indication.
yeah, you've got
Like,
7 opponents between the 2 teams, and truth be told, 0 of the 7 are worth a damn. At
how many
least in
wins between the
2025
seven of
playing
them?
football. Oh,
How many
I'd
wins
have to
between the seven?
I'd have to get on my phone and look it up here,
It
but I
has
know
to be
it's not
under
many.
3. It
Yeah.
has to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, is like if you're Oregon, but this is just for this game. I don't even know if this is a key, but it should just be noted. Oregon played last week.
Yep.
Penn State did not. And they're coming
Mhm.
on the road 3,000 miles away, and they just played 7 days ago, and you've had 2 weeks to prepare. And I get it. I mean, there's no shot that Oregon just started preparing this week. They've probably been preparing for multiple weeks, just like us. But they still had to play another game. They had to play another game in between when we played our last game. If that's not an advantage, especially in the trenches, because that's where guys are the most bruised and battered. If that's not an advantage in the trenches, then I don't know what is. Like, if you don't win this game against Oregon, you're not beating them anytime soon, because you could not have a more advantageous situation than this week.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to some concern spots, because I know we've each got quite a few of them. Plenty of them have been talked about ad nauseum. What are the ones that you are focusing on?
I mean, I would say the offensive play calling is going to be the first one. I want to see how they come out to start the game with the offensive play calling. Is it going to be the same as I've seen for the last 3 games, or is it going to be something new? Because in James' press conferences the other day, he was like, "Oh, well, that's pretty much the actual offense, and we don't really believe in vanilla play calling um, in the non-conference," which, that's probably not true. But if it is, like, if you're telling me this is the same play calling, then something better have drastically changed with how the plays are being actually done on the field in the last 2 weeks. Because if you run plays like that and you're not making the blocks and you're not making the passes and you're still calling the same offense time and time again, then like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Like, it's just like, at what point is there, like, all I know is that when I see them in the 2-minute drill, it looks so much different. And like,
Yeah.
if you're not,
Yeah.
I don't know how they better be bringing that for the whole game. Because if they're not, then I don't really know what they've been looking at for the last 2 weeks. So that's one big thing I'm looking for, is just to see a difference in the offensive play calling. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I've already mentioned it. I want to see early blitzes. I want to see them attacking early. Jim Knowles has said that, hey, like, whiteout or no whiteout, we're preparing the same way. And for defense, it really, should be the same way. It should be that like that, because the crowd is going to be on your side the entire time. So, I mean, I'm excited to see how they respond to a guy like Dante Moore. They haven't really seen anything remotely like him so far this year. Jim Knowles faced him twice last year at Ohio State, faced him in the regular season at Autzen, then faced him in the Rose Bowl. In the Rose Bowl, they kicked Oregon's ass. Now, there's like some rumors that that wasn't his defense or whatever. I refuse to believe that, since he is the best defensive coordinator in the country. But some people say that's Ryan Day's defense. But anyway, if that is Jim Knowles' defense, he has proven that his scheme can work against. I gotta say what is being said. But if I'm assuming it was Jim Knowles' defense, and I'm assuming he knows how to
Yes, it was
respond against
Jim
a team like
Knowles'
this. He has not
defense.
faced. I would hope it was. I'm just,
Ryan Day, defensive mastermind, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
he
what
played
the
quarterback,
fuck?
was an offensive coordinator. The rumor makes no sense, but it had to be said, because I know someone will comment if I don't say it and be like, "Well, Ohio State fans say it's actually Jim Knowles. It was
Oh
actually Ryan
yeah,
Day's defense."
yeah. You already know how that goes.
But yeah. Yeah, the play calling on offense, and then on defense, just get to him early, get him on the ground, get him in the rain. Hopefully,
Yeah. I mean, concern-wise, I mean, offensively, I think, Drew obviously is a concern. Um, Obviously not
It's
something you
sad to
wanna
say,
say
but
about
yeah.
your it's not someone you wanna say at this, this stage of his career at Penn State, but it has been rough so far this year. Hasn't been great. He needs to be better pretty much in all facets. I think he'll use his legs a lot more this game. Um, that whole, we told him not to run bullshit the past couple weeks. I don't buy that for a second, but I think he'll use his legs to pick up some first downs this Saturday, some big first downs. He's going to have to, I think. I think he needs to be more poised. I think he needs to be more almost mature the way he handles adversity, because there's going to be adversity for sure this weekend for the offense at some point. And then honestly, Nick Singleton, eyes on you, man.
Those were two of the four I had written down. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it just hadn't been good enough yet. It just hasn't. The holes are there too for him to make the plays. So, obviously he needs to be better. I'm concerned about him, but it's like I'm concerned about them too, but it's not like a concern. Like, the offense can still run and be effective with their current form. It can be effective. Is it good enough for them to win? Probably not. But it can be effective. Katron Allen
Yeah.
is still the best back on this team. So
Yeah. Yeah. We've been saying that
that's
for
not going
3
to
years
change.
now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I
It's,
feel like
it's,
every year through 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we're like, oh, I don't know if Nick Singleton's the same Nick Singleton. And then some game comes and he busts, a 70-yarder. He has 130 yards. And we're like, oh, okay, maybe he's okay. But, you know, the third concern is definitely the interior defensive line against the run game of Oregon. Just from a depth perspective, don't know if we have seen it. It might be there, but we haven't seen it. And Nye White's going to have to grow up really fast in that role, not a position that he's accustomed to before this year. So he needs to grow up there pretty fast. And then fourth concern, biggest concern, most continuous concern every year, James Franklin, huge concern. Huge concern. I mean,
big game James,
this is
baby.
this cannot be, and he's done it every single quote unquote big game at home the past 5 years. I do not want to see some ticky tacky, unnecessary special teams
Oh, you
trick
know it's
play.
coming. You know it's coming. You
I
know it's coming.
don't
We
want to
saw that
see
we
it,
saw
bro.
that clip on Twitter last week of Gabe Nwosu running through the fucking the little dummy
This
drill
is
with the
such a
running backs. Like, it's coming,
this could
bro.
be a whole different segment. Like, this could be a whole segment on this conversation.
Yeah, we don't need to jump down this
But
rabbit hole. We'll get bogged down here.
from a concern perspective, this is the biggest game of James' career, without
Yes,
question,
without a doubt.
because it
Yeah.
it determines whether we're going forward or if we're still kind of idle and we don't know where we're going this year. So I only worry about James because of the bye week record, which is ass. I worry about James because of the big game moments and the big game record of James, which is ass. And I worry about James because while we're talking about all the players that we have concerns with, and the history of Penn State in these games, nobody has more pressure in that stadium come Saturday than the guy who's not even playing, and it's James. Every single person in that stadium will have that thought in their head of James in big games. Like, he is the person with the most pressure. The whole week in college football, he has the most pressure this week. So I hope,
Yeah. I
he's
already heard it
fine-tuned
3 to
every
4
year. I feel
times.
like something on the bye week. Like, I feel like he's fine-tuned it. Every year he does something different on the bye week, or he adds something from another coach. I know they said 2 weeks ago he talked to Coach Saban about
Yeah.
things he could do, right? And I think, Penn State, if Penn State goes on to win this game, it would be a culmination of so many things that this fan base has had to deal with, had to see, and James has had to deal with and had to see. The bye week obviously is a part of that, and I hope for James. I do. I genuinely hope. Obviously, not just as a Penn State fan, because I want to win, obviously, more than anything. This game would be huge for Penn State. If you're going to the game, it's a huge game to see It'll be an absolutely monumental game if they are able to pull it out. But I want it so badly for him as well. As someone who's not even a huge fan of him, just because he's been just shit on and shit on and shit on for the same thing over and over and over again, dude. Like, I'm begging for you to pull through and have the last laugh one time. Like, I want you to be able to walk up to some kid justified in the student section and say, go fuck yourself. Like, I would love that. Not shut up or, lock the fuck in or, oh, what's your name so I can get you kicked out of school. You win a top 6 game, you go to the student section, and you have your moment that you've been fucking deprived of for 6 years. Like, I want that so bad for him. And the kids, obviously, on the team. But that's
Yeah,
what
of
I'm looking for.
course.
Those are the concerns. But I fucking hope in the worst way he gets that because he does deserve that. And I hope he gets that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You
and
mentioned you
you
mentioned
were saying about the
Go ahead.
run game, like with the Singleton Allen thing. If they want to win this game, especially if it's raining, they need both backs. It can't be a game where Katron takes the whole
Right.
load and goes 150 yards, and Singleton goes for like 12 yards.
Yeah, we're
They
gonna
need
need
both
Nick.
guys. Yeah, they need both guys to go 80 plus yards and a couple of touchdowns. Like they need big games from both. This is not an
And
either
look,
or type of
They need
situation.
Nick. They need Nick
and I
to
wanted to
step it
say
up in pass
too.
protection as well.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, for as bad as Nick has looked so far this season, um, he's still. I'm pretty sure he's still averaging like 6.5 a carry, ain't he? Like it's like yes, it's been bad. He's still
Yeah.
he's still ripping off solid runs. Like the other day, I just rewatched the Nevada game because I wanted to see. Like I feel like they haven't been hyped for the FIU and Villanova game, and I mean, from a human nature perspective, rightfully so, right? Like it's really hard to get up for those games. First game of the year, it's another one of those opponents, but it's the first football game of the year. You're finally, you're ready to hit somebody. I watched that game. That offense went right down the field. They were like the entire energy of the whole team was just completely different. But Nick Singleton actually looked sharp on that first drive, and I've seen a couple runs in that game and FIU. He has had moments where he's looked okay, but he's not been able to make anybody miss. All that being said, he's still almost at 7 yards a carry. So if he's able to figure out what he's been missing and put it together, I mean, yeah, we might hopefully we're in for a show on Saturday
I
with
did
Nick.
Yeah.
real quick, AP, because I know you need to say yours as well, but I did want to put something to bed that I thought was really interesting because I feel like for the past few years we've talked about receivers, right? And it's a valid point, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read you the top 3 receivers for Oregon, okay? And I'm going to read you ours. And Oregon is supposed to be otherworldly, and don't get me wrong, they have 2 more
Yeah.
receivers below this with 100 plus yards, but
Mm-hmm.
the yards go as follows: 207, 201, 155. The 155 is a tight end. Obviously, that's Sadiq for Oregon. For Penn State, 166, 160, 142. And 142 is Luke Reynolds. It's not otherworldly different. Okay. And they have, obviously, Oregon has, I think his name's McLennan, and another guy who has
McClellan,
some
yeah.
yards. I think, and Bryant, I think Bryant Jr. That's his
Yeah.
name.
Yep. And they're
But
missing Evan Stewart too.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
but Penn State has had opportunities. Like that's another part of this with the receivers. Like this is a year so far where we've seen some success at receiver on some plays. We've also seen receivers open and us miss them, which is
Yeah.
different than what we've seen in the past. We haven't seen anyone open and we're forcing it or they're dropping it. Now we're just not hitting them. So if there's a world where they can gel and hit on those throws this weekend, it'll look completely different. And we'll all be like, what were we watching for the first few weeks? I just thought that was interesting because the numbers
And that
aren't that different. Now, granted, it's 3 versus 5. 5 contributors at Oregon, 3 Penn State. Penn State's never going to have 5 receivers going for that many yards. It's just not going to be the case.
yeah.
But they have tight ends that they utilize more than most teams use receivers. So I just thought that was an interesting thing to share because I feel like that's been a hot topic all year with the receivers already. So sorry about that.
That kind of no, you're good. That actually kind of plays right into one of my concern spots. Um, you know, well, fuck, never mind, because you kind of just cleared it up. Let me go into one of my other concern spots here. The second safety. We've been retooling it around each of the 3 weeks. It's been someone different. Uh, seems like King Mac has been settling into the spot now. I like King Mac. He's a bit undersized though. So I do have a little bit concern there, especially considering he might be the one that gets matched up over top Sadiq here and there. But his style though, he's also one of those guys. He's going to come down, fill the gap, stop the run. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but yeah, that's definitely one of my concern spots. The second safety. I'm not too I'm not too confident in that spot right now. That can change after this weekend because again, I really like King Mac, I like Dejon Lane, and I like ABS, but there's been stuff put on film that I'm not too happy with. So, again, we'll see. Going
No,
back
it's a good
to
point.
yeah, yeah, going back to what I was going to say earlier, it just came back to me. Um, Drew Aller. It's been mentioned, and I'm not sure how much I buy into it, but I've heard it mentioned from. Pretty sure I heard Landon Tangwall mention it. I've heard like pretty much all the guys on the Penn State beat podcast mention it as well. Drew Aller's internal clock, as far as like moving on from option 1, option 2 to option 3, so on and so forth, is really sped up. So, and I heard this explained a lot, but basically he's coming off of read 1 and going to read 2 before read 1 is even open, and it ends up wide open. So if he's able to slow himself down, and I feel like that's something easier, that's actually one of the easier adjustments to make as a quarterback. If you're just able to slow yourself down a little bit, because we've been asking him to speed up for the past couple of years, just slow down a little bit. Maybe you can get yourself a little bit of magic, but it is a concerning thing because it's an overcorrection, and overcorrecting is not a good thing in college football.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting point, and I think it's interesting because it shows just like for the last couple of years, he's really only had one target. So that's why he was
Yeah,
so quick to move off of it because they're usually getting double teamed. Like a Tyler Warren last year is getting double teamed. He has to move right off that and try to find the open receiver. This year, now you have, 3 wide receivers that are going to be out there, plus a tight end, plus maybe a running back in the passing game. You have a lot more options. So you can slow down a little bit because you're probably going to have a lot more one-on-ones.
yeah, absolutely. TK, you mentioned earlier too. I agree with you. Coaches telling Drew Aller to not run as often, not a thing. But I do think in week 2 and week 3, Drew himself made it a point to not run as often, to try to put himself, to try to test himself a little bit to see how he's able to. Obviously he doesn't want to take those hits against those teams when it boils down to it. So whether or not the coaches told him not to, I highly doubt it. But Drew himself, he probably took it upon himself. I would definitely imagine that for sure.
Yeah.
Let's move into some X factors of the game. Who are some players, maybe units as an entirety that you're looking at that could change the game? I've definitely got a few off the top of my head, but I'm anxious to see what you guys have.
Yeah, offense, I'm going to go with the O-line. Obviously, we've talked about them before. Coming into the season, they were widely regarded as one of the best units in the country, and they're going to be needed. They're going to be obviously, games are always won in the trenches, and especially in a game like this, if it is raining, which is what the reports are, you know, offensive linemen usually prefer running a run-heavy offense. It's usually easier for them, so that should be a good scenario for them. Hopefully, you have some, especially if you have some 12 personnel sets and stuff, that should help with pass protection as well when needed. But the offensive line is really what I'm looking at. I think that's where the game's going to be won. It's where it's always won, but it's a unit that has struggled against lesser competition. And I think we've talked about this a little bit off the air, is that Oregon's D line is maybe not as strong as they may seem. if you look at their sacks and tackle for loss numbers. So maybe this isn't as big of an issue for the O line as we would have thought coming into the game. Um, on the defensive side of the ball, I thought AP made a really good point with the King Mac and the second safety. I think that's definitely something that's definitely going to be an X factor in this game. But also, I think the linebacker core, obviously they're one of the best in the country. How are they going to be played? Are they going to be attacking? Can they get on those wide receivers that come across the middle there? So I think that's going to be a huge part of this game as well. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the trenches, and it comes down to this offense just kicking up to a second gear, which we haven't seen yet. And if they can do that, then they should win this game.
Yeah. I mean, X factor offensively. I mean, I think it's got to be Katron.
Yeah.
I just think we go as he goes. Like I just, at least up to this point in the season, it just feels like when he's having a good game, when he's rolling, we look better offensively. The offense moves smoother when he's on the field. I do agree though with Nick 100%. The offensive line has to be better. Has to be what it's supposed to be. At least half of what it was supposed to be.
Can I make a point off of that real quick?
Yeah.
In pass protection, they've given up 3 sacks. I think that's top 10 right now in the country.
Yeah.
And I think we've all acknowledged through 3 weeks they've progressed. They've gotten better. Week 3 looked way better than week 1, especially week 2. Week 2 was a shit show, especially for offensive line. But they look much better in week 3. I just want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
They have looked better. If
No,
they
they have
continue
looked
their
better.
trend.
They have looked better, but when it comes to the Oregon front, while it might not be as good as last year, they have some real talent on the edges, and in the run game, they're going to have to move them. Like it can't just be a stalemate. They have to move them. And Oregon does have a really, really strong linebacker. I can't remember his name right now. I think he leads the team in tackles, but he is in the right spot at the right time always.
It's like
so he's a beast.
Betcher or something. I don't know how to pronounce it.
But I mean, X factor for the defense. I think it's going to be 2 people. I think you could see a Zariah Fisher coming out party this weekend. At least it would be a huge help if that's the case. And I
Hell
think
yeah.
like it sounds crazy, and if you're not a Penn State fan and you heard this, you probably wouldn't agree. But I think Dom DeLuca in these games, something
He's got something, man.
clicks for him, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
something clicks for him in these games. So Dom DeLuca, Zariah Fisher, the offensive line, and Katron Allen. Best player on the team, Katron Allen, as we discussed. So
I like those picks. Zariah Fisher, definitely a name that's being overlooked right now, especially with the Coleman coming onto the scene, and obviously we know DDS is DDS, but with Chaz Coleman coming onto the scene, Zariah Fisher has taken a backseat for sure. So I definitely like that one. My X factors. First, I want to start kind of playing off Nick. Nick, you said the linebackers as a whole. I'm going to single out Tony Rojas here. He is a guy. He is supposed to be. And he has looked like it as well. But he's supposed to be a star on the defense. He's a guy. He could go to the NFL after this season, but if he goes next season, we could be talking about him as a first round pick. He runs a 4.3 40. He's the type of guy. Are you gonna use him in coverage over Sadiq? How are you gonna use him? Because he can do it all. He can rush the passer. We've seen him do that. We've seen him with soft hands. We've seen him return interceptions for pick sixes. He's all over the place. So how are you going to use him? This is the perfect stage for him to announce himself to the country, because we all know him as a star, but the country may not know him yet. So I'm looking for him. And then I also want to go on the offensive side. I want to go with the tight end, Luke Reynolds. I could have gone Khalil Dinkins because he's been disappointing so far this season, and this might be a good spot for him to make a good name for himself, especially because we're going to be leaning on the run game quite a bit, I think. But Luke Reynolds, he has established himself as the safety valve for Drew Aller so far this season. He's been a go-to guy on third down. He's been able to get them out of some sticky situations. He's been a first down. He's almost picking up first down every time he catches the ball. So he is definitely a guy that's going to be leaned on quite a bit to help move the chains, especially if the running game isn't able to you know, get ahead of steam. So looking forward to watching those two guys playing on Saturday. I want to point out, I want to mention an under the radar guy. We have not seen him at all this season, but have been hearing quite a few good things about him behind the scenes, especially in the past week or so. Tyseer Denmark,
Yep.
wide
I
receiver.
was going to mention him.
We've only seen 3 or 4 wide receivers to this point of the season. One of them we'd all like to see get sat down here. So it's not out of the total realm of possibility. Tyseer Denmark, he also was a former Oregon commit. We know how James Franklin can be petty, and I heard Andy Kotelnicki was calling him out of his name to reporters this past week, which is always a good sign for a young player if the offense coordinator is calling you by name to reporters. So I'm not banking on it. If I had to bet on Tyseer Denmark making an impact on this game, I'd bet no. But it's definitely something I have my ears perked up against.
Yeah, that's someone I was going to mention, especially with the decommitment from Oregon and the recommitment, like you said. I could totally see James just throwing him in there, maybe even on one of
Yeah.
those like trick plays or something like that, just something totally out of the blue. He's a
Yep.
shifty athlete. You could do a lot of different stuff with him. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything I've been hearing about him lately has been positive. Has the right attitude as far as not really playing so far. And yeah, it's been. Hey, you never know. Fingers crossed. We're going to need a spark. We're going to need someone to step up. We're going to need someone who hasn't made a play yet this season to make a big play in this game. So why not Tyseer Denmark? It'd be perfect for the wide receiver unit to come through in a big spot and make a moment for Penn State here. What a story that would be. All right, guys, let's get into some run with that, pass on that, couple buy or sell things here. When I get into, we've kind of been touching on it a little bit here with this first one, but outside of the playoff games, this is James Franklin's biggest game of his career. Are you going to buy that? Are you going to run with that? Or are you going to pass on that?
yeah, this may be an unpopular take. I personally am going to pass on it, and I know that may seem crazy, but here's my reasoning for it. And I was thinking about this the other day. When you look back at the 2017, 2018 games against Ohio State, you're in a 14 playoff year. They lost that game. They were pretty much out of the picture. Theoretically, if Penn State loses on Saturday, they could theoretically still make the playoffs at 11-1 if they ran the table. Hell, they might be able to make it at 10-2 in some crazy world. So for me, there's just been games with more pressure. Those games in 2017, 2018, that was your whole season. This game is not really your whole season. I think from the fan base's standpoint, this game might be the whole season because you're at home. And if you lose this game, the morale is going to go down in the dumps unless they win in Columbus. And a lot of,
Which
the Northwestern
very
game.
unlikely if you lose this.
Yeah, no, very unlikely, but not impossible. That's like kind of the point I'm making is that like if when back in 2017, 2018, they like those were must wins. And as much of a must win as this is, there is opportunities later in the schedule to make up for it. So that's the only reason I'm going to pass on it. I mean, it's probably the third biggest game for me besides those two that I mentioned. It's top three. It's a huge game. And I mean, I would agree with it. If they don't win this game, it's unlikely they win the Ohio State game. Hell, it's unlikely they win the Indiana game, which I know last week on here, I said Indiana was a dog shit program. So they were trash. I take back what I said, but yeah, so
I
I'll
am
pass.
I am sprinting with it. I think it is. I mean, dude, I think this game for James. I mean, you gotta look at like from people that see or think of current, James the way I do, right? So, like the way I see it, obviously you're thankful for everything that he did for the program. When he got there, it was a complete shit show to where we are now, 100%. But as all these years have gone by and all these missed opportunities to win these games, things have become sour to the point where we're kind of in purgatory right now. Like I would call it James Franklin purgatory of winning 10 games. And for some people, that's awesome. They're like, yeah, 10 games. What are you bitching about? But to me, when you're winning 10 games and losing the two biggest ones, then it's kind of null and void. Like then it's kind of like, all right, you're taking me, you know, almost all the way there, and then we're failing. So I think if this went south, that a lot of people would honestly, and it's tough to say. I feel like you say it every year, but I feel like it would almost be like a last straw kind of thing for James. And I think it spirals for him if we don't win this game. So I think it's the biggest game in not just James Franklin's tenure here, but I think it's the biggest home game at Penn State in my lifetime. So I think he has everything in to prove, and it's just like I said earlier. Everyone wants it. No matter how you feel about him, you want him to win this game so bad, like for himself. Like, and it sounds stupid. I mean, he's a grown ass man, but it's you, like you feel for him after so many of these games. Like you really did. Um, so I think it's the biggest game in his tenure, and I think he absolutely has to have it. I will say, just me. I don't think the other two up here share this. Maybe Alex does, but of course he's on PTO. Um, if he loses this game, I'm done with him for good. I don't.
Yeah,
Just
I'll
me. It's just me. If he loses this game, I'll probably put something out and say, hey, if they fire him tomorrow, I'll be fine. If we took a step back and brought someone in and it reset, and then maybe that meant years down the road we win these games, I would take that. That's where I'm at with this game for James.
yeah,
Personally.
yeah, it would definitely be an interesting conversation, and hopefully it's one that we don't have to have next week.
Yeah.
But it would definitely be an interesting conversation. I I'm gonna pass on this one here. Um, it's definitely up there. It's definitely top two, top three. But I think the Ohio State game last year is probably the biggest one of his career. Just from the aspect of you had you had this iteration of this team, plus Abdul Carter, plus Tyler Warren, so plus two first round picks. You had the team that's been beating you. Oregon hasn't been an issue. Like, yeah, we lost to them last year, but that
We have no real
it,
history with
it
them.
shit. Yeah,
No.
exactly. We don't have history with them. Ohio State has been the team in the way. You beat like that is the mountain to get over. You had them at home. You had a team that arguably did go toe to toe with them. Should have won the game. You got off to a
Yep.
10-0. Like that's in my opinion James Franklin's biggest game, the biggest game of James Franklin's career. It is a good argument to have though for this game. I think it's going to be mentioned every time we have one of these big matchups. Every time we have Ohio State, Oregon, or Michigan come into Beaver Stadium and they're ranked in the top 5, we're going to have this exact same conversation. So, I mean, is what it is. If it's a fun little exercise, but no, I think it's top 3 for sure
If
because
if
there's
it
definitely
doesn't
a lot of weight on this one.
if it doesn't go our way, I won't ever pick us to win these games again. Ever.
No,
Like under
no.
James, I won't. I just
That's
won't.
fair.
I won't. And you say everyone says it every year. Like, they put the graphic on the screen of his record. He did get 2 in the playoff, which was good for him for the graphic perspective. But even though they were dog shit teams, but it's it's just to the point though. And I feel like, me personally, I feel like a lot of people haven't shared that same opinion that I had or have had with him. But this game just feels different. Like this game feels like where everyone's looking at him, and if he can't do it again, it's at home. He's favored, which everyone has the numbers of when he's favored versus when he's not favored. There's no excuse. And if you can't do it here, if you honestly up 10-0, Ohio State at home on the ropes, didn't do it then. If you're not going to beat Oregon, who truthfully is just as good a team as Ohio State is this year, if you can't do it at home, Whiteout, for his words, best team he's had since he's been here, even though he says that every other year. And he's not going to.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's going to lead to quite an expanded conversation like I said, quite an expanded conversation if we do lose this game, because I think there is an edge that this team has lacked throughout his entire tenure. But we won't jump down that rabbit hole right now.
No, and it's
let's move
flipped.
on
If
to
he wins, it's flipped.
Yeah.
Like if
Oh,
it's
yeah,
flipped.
absolutely.
If he wins, it's flipped.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If it's wins, it's praise.
If you win this game, if he wins this game, it proves, because Michigan, everybody likes to talk their shit about Michigan, but he's 3-5 against them. Like that, Michigan doesn't own us. However, like whatever. Michigan aside, it is Ohio State. If you beat Oregon this week and you win this big game, it proves that it is an Ohio State problem. It is not necessarily the big game. Like, yes, there's been other big games against other teams that aren't Ohio State teams we've lost, but it's been majority Ohio State. So it'll kind of help your case in that.
Yeah, but is that necessarily any better? Ohio State is the crown jewel of the Big Ten. So
no,
okay, it's an Ohio State problem.
It makes you feel better. It makes you feel a little bit better.
But it doesn't really help us in reality. Like at the end of the day, if you can't beat Ohio State, you're still gonna have problems in this conference.
No,
for sure.
They're still the team to beat.
For sure, but it's a step. So the way I look at it, and we don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
It's a talking
point. The way I look
point.
at it, right? You have Ohio State, right? Ohio State's top of the top. Michigan, Michigan's up there too. Now they're not as good this year and not as good last year, but they did win the national championship. I don't buy into the Stallion stuff. I don't care about that. They won the national championship. They currently own Ohio State. So whether you like it or not, Ohio State's here, Michigan here, then Penn State, right? Oregon, to me, since joining the conference, is now right below Ohio State. So you can't not be able to beat this one or Oregon, and you're on a slide right now with Michigan. So you got to beat one of them. Like it has to be one. It has to be one, just one. Truthfully, because you're not going to play all three of them in a season. God fuck if we did. But I mean, like he has to. It's just I just don't understand. I can't fathom, and I respect it obviously 100%. And you made good points as to why, but I can't imagine passing on that point with everything going in to this year. We continuously for 3 years it was I need this to compete. Now it's I've gotten this. I have the best roster I've ever had. I have the best staff I've ever had that he handpicked himself. He's quick on the trigger. He was the past 3 years firing coordinators that he didn't like, bringing in big name coordinators like a Tom Allen, Diaz, and now Knowles, the number one defensive coordinator in the country. There's no better time than right now. That's what makes this game to me so important because AK, he'll probably interview for head coaching jobs. We're lucky we got him back this year, to be honest with you. So when are you going to have this situation again to make it? Because that's what makes it the big game. It's not that it's Oregon versus Penn State. It's not that it's James Franklin versus Dan Lanning. This is Oregon's obviously a top 2 team in the country, in my opinion, right now. But it's also, man, this Penn State team, this kind of feels like their shot. That's why it's a big game. I saw Dan Lanning's comments it's the whiteout because it's Oregon. It doesn't fucking mean anything. They're the whiteout against fucking Iowa in Washington. It doesn't fucking mean anything. But that's why, to me, it's number one. You look at the Ohio State games, you look at the Michigan games, this one just feels different. And he's favored. I cannot overstate that. That is huge for James because he's never favored in these games. Ever.
Never.
So
and it's
it is interesting that he's favored. It is interesting that he's favored because it feels like the public is heavy on Oregon.
Oh, I mean, they're heavy on Oregon because.
Well, no, even straight up, Pate put out a poll, 75-25 Oregon, straight up.
But why do you think that is?
But that's because of James Franklin in these scenarios.
Absolutely,
it's because
I'm just saying,
of that.
for as much as they're favored, the public is, for as much as they're favored maybe by Vegas, it really is a toss-up. I think most people would lean Oregon.
I think that just goes to show you, though, how much Vegas likes us. In this situation, everybody is on Oregon, and yet we're still. I haven't looked at the line lately, but I think we're still favored by
2.5,
4.
I think.
No, it's
it's down to 2.5 now.
3. 3.
But still, I mean, yeah,
And there's gonna be huge money on Oregon, bro. Huge money.
It's going to be 70% at least,
Yeah.
Oregon, which
Yeah.
makes sense. They're getting the points. I mean, it makes sense. But I mean, I think the reason Vegas likes this is what I was saying about earlier. We're coming off a bye. They're coming from across the country. Like, this is the perfect situation.
it is
to
the
win
perfect
fucking game.
scenario.
Yeah,
Perfect
for sure.
scenario. All right, let's move on here. Last couple ones, and then we can get on out of here. Obviously, we got to give our game prediction as well. A win in this game is going to put Penn State come Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, whenever the AP poll comes out. If Penn State wins this game, they're going to have number 1 next to their name. You going to run with that or pass on that?
Yeah, I'll pass. I mean, truth be told, I don't even think Ohio State should be number 1 right now. I think Miami has a better resume. I mean, they do. They beat Notre Dame and Florida. That's a better resume than just Texas.
Oof.
Than just Texas. Texas looks like dog shit. And you're going to tell me that
Yeah,
Florida and Notre Dame is a worse resume than Texas?
Man, run or pass on number 1, man. Holy.
Dude, the point is, beating Oregon is not a better resume than Ohio State. It's not a better resume than Miami, in my opinion. It's not a better resume than.
Oh, whoa. I think
actually it's a better resume than both.
I would say it's better than Ohio State.
Miami has 2 ranked wins, and Penn State would only have 1. So I don't know if it's better. I mean, Florida.
I don't know
a legit
about
team.
I don't know about Miami, but I would say it's better than.
You're frying, dude.
You said
Florida is a legit.
You said Florida.
What did you say?
Florida is a legit program. They have talent.
Florida is one of the worst teams in the country.
Florida is not one of the worst teams in the country.
He's going off of Josh Pate's power ratings.
I'm not. Just watch them play. They're not.
Bro,
they
do have a great defense. They do have a great defense
in the country.
I promise. They play Texas next. They play Texas next week. I promise you, they cover.
God,
not even going to be close.
That game is going to be so putrid. That game is going to be so bad. All right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, the point is, pass. They're not the number 1 team in the country based off if they're number 5 right now.
They're what? Oregon?
They're number 5 right now. No,
they're
Penn
6.
State.
Penn State's 3.
Penn State's 3. That changes things a little bit. I thought they were 5.
Yeah. All right. Look.
I don't follow the AP poll, dude. I don't follow.
He's looking at the TK poll,
dude. Dude, I don't follow the AP poll. AP poll's a joke. I'll go pass.
I'm passing on that shit as well.
I'm running with it. Look,
Jesus fucking Christ.
You can argue the Miami resume, and obviously Ohio State being last year's national champion does play a part into it. It should not, but it does. But if you're going to stack the Texas win against the Oregon win, say we do beat Oregon, depending on what fashion it's in as well. Oregon has looked better than Texas through 3-4 weeks of football. Take the Ohio State game, take the way they performed against Ohio State out of it. Texas has not looked like a top 5 team. They haven't looked like a top 10 team, even. Barely, if you want to give them that credit. So, and then aside from that, like Ohio, they're a good program. But Ohio State's played nobody. Penn State's played nobody. Obviously, Texas aside for Ohio State. But, you add this Oregon win to Penn State's belt, you're comparing Oregon to Texas. Give me Oregon in that scenario. Meaning Penn State would have the better resume. I don't know. I think there'd be a really strong case between Penn State and Miami. Let's move on, though. Last one. This game is going to set the Penn State attendance record, and it's never going to be broken ever again.
No. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, no. I agree. I'll pass. I mean, I'd never be broken again. I mean, that seems a little extreme.
Now you got to keep in mind, Penn State.
They're getting rid of the seats, right? They're getting rid of the seats.
Yeah, the attendance is going to go down. The capacity is supposed to go down for the stadium. I'm not sure how much. I'm not sure how much standing room is going to be available again. But yeah, you guys are both
to say
on
never
that?
again is just never again is a big bar. I don't know if I don't know about never again, especially if it's raining. I don't know about never again. There might be a game
Oh
winning.
yeah. Damn, that's true. That's true. Forgot about that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that as well, especially with the rain. That's gonna that rain sucks, man. You could easily
It shouldn't affect it that much,
it
but you might
shouldn't
lose
it shouldn't, but it
500
will.
people or something.
It
The
will, yeah.
USC game next year will break the attendance record.
You think?
Yeah,
USC could be looking pretty damn good coming into that. All depends how Penn State
that'll
looks as
break the
well.
attendance.
All depends how Penn State
Yeah,
looks as
I
well.
don't. This program probably is not going to look that great next year. That game could be
No,
ugly.
but here we'll just keep going.
USC might
We're
be
gonna we're gonna
USC might be the toughest game next year, though. That might
Michigan
be.
too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the road at Michigan. I forgot about that. Don't look at me like that, TK. I forgot about the Michigan game. Yeah, Bryce Underwood. That's gonna be. Yeah,
might
Michigan
be
is
getting
gonna
a
be
little
an
belt
issue.
in Ann Arbor next year, buddy.
Yeah, next year, even for how bad the schedule is, next year could be ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
That was it. I mean, unless you guys have any to throw out there at me, but
Yeah, I got one for you. Drew Aller throws for 250 plus yards. Passing with it or run with
Fucking
it?
pass with that. No shot. Especially if
in
it's
the
raining.
rain,
No fucking
yeah,
chance he throws for 250 yards.
in the rain, I'm gonna
No
pass
chance.
on that. If it's not raining, I'd say run with it. But yeah,
I'm passing with it for
No,
sure. I just thought it was interesting.
yeah,
yeah.
no chance.
All right. So we don't have to get into score predictions, but how's this game gonna play out? How do you see this game going? Penn State win, Oregon win.
Ooh, heart, brain. I'll go with heart. I'll go Penn State 20-13.
20-13. Wow.
I mean, if they're going to
It
win this
could be
game, it's
low
going to have to be a low
scoring.
scoring affair. I don't see
It
them
could be
getting.
very low
I
scoring.
do not see them getting into a shootout and winning the game. So I'll go 20-13. Yeah, I mean, if it's raining and the defense does what they're supposed to do, they should be able to hold this offense for Oregon down. I still don't trust the offense to score that many points, so I'll keep them at 20. Yeah, I'll go. Katron touchdown, maybe pick six touchdown, a couple field goals from our boy Ryan Barker. Missed PAT for Oregon, 2013.
Fuck me, man. I mean, I think Penn State wins. It's the worst thing to put in the universe. Just set yourself up for it. I think they win 28-24. I think if the scoring goes any higher than that, they cannot keep up with Oregon in the shootout. I just think that Penn State has to. It just comes back. It's like so cliche, but they just have to have it, man. Like they have to. It's like just been sitting
Yeah.
there for you to take for so many years. Like they have to have it. I think it is Katron till the cows come home in the run game. I think he does score. I think he scores 2 touchdowns probably. But yeah, I like Penn State 28-24, and I think it's super stressful. I think it's 28-24 win, and Oregon has the ball at the end of the game.
Oof. Yeah, that'd
It's gonna be.
cause a couple.
I think Penn State will probably be losing at halftime.
Hey,
So
it's definitely on the table. Look, Penn State's winning this game. I think it's going to be on the back of Katron and this defense. Look, Drew Aller, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, Zane Durant, all those guys, they did not come back to impress me against Villanova and FIU and Nevada. I'm not taking too much stock into how those first 3 weeks went. Like the concerns are very valid, and they could come to fruition and be the straw that breaks the camel's back. But I think this Penn State team has a switch that is to be flipped, and they're going to flip it this week here on Oregon. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything. I think it's going to be probably 27-20, that sort of game. Probably even lower scoring, maybe into the territory of what Nick said. But look, hungry dogs do run faster, and I think Penn State, you know, Oregon's season ended terribly last year, but Penn State's ended even worse. I mean, I I wouldn't wish the way that our season ended on anybody last year. This team came back with one goal, and that's to just beat everybody. So let's fucking do it. I mean, listen, the past is the past. James Franklin can right all the wrongs right here on Saturday. Prime time. Everybody wear your fucking white. Get your white poncho. Wear white under a clear poncho. Be loud. That stadium, that environment is going to be electric. Penn State is going to feed off of it, and they're going to roll, man. I think it's going to be a stressful game, but it's going to be one of those we're going to look back on at the end of the year and be like, yeah, we kind of controlled that. I think it's going to be a statement win. A lot of people are going to be eating their words come Monday, and it's going to be glorious for us. Give me the Lions.
Love it.
Anything else you guys want to talk about? It is a
You gotta end it right
huge
there,
week
man.
5, but yeah, it's
You just got me on a.
Nah, there's some. Just so you know, lock of the week's Form 1 this year. Got back on our winning ways. Don't even got to wait till Saturday this week, everybody. ECU, money line against Army. Absolutely. An easy lock of the week for you. Get your bankroll going into the weekend. I mean, fuck. I mean, if I'm heading to State College, I'll be on the DraftKings casino. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's ECU Pirates until the cows come home this Thursday night at 7:30, people. So you might as well get your free money. You can paint it purple. Simple.
With that being said, everybody bet TK's lock of the week. He has been on a heater this year, finally. But yeah, let's see how Dante Moore reacts to deny Dennis Sutton, putting him into the dirt a few times on Saturday. Lock the fuck in, be loud, wear white. We are.